that we have a check engine light on, let's use a scan tool to pull the codes on this to see what we come up with. Alright, so after using the code scanner, we see that we have one code, and that's the P0101 code, a generic code that indicates that there's a problem with the mass airflow sensor. Now, you don't have to own an expensive scan tool to pull your codes. You can just go to the local auto parts store and they'll generally pull it for you. Now, they won't clear the codes for you as a policy, but they will pull it for you. So you'll want to invest in a scan tool that has the capability of clearing the codes. And you can get them rather inexpensively these days. You don't have to spend several $100s. Those are the types of units that have more features. But all you simply want to do is to pull the code and have the ability to clear it. So let's go through the process of first cleaning the mass airflow sensor. And if that doesn't work and the code reappears, then we'll replace the mass airflow sensor. But I recommend that you try to clean it first, as that's often the problem, is that it just needs to be cleaned. And there's a specific cleaner that you use to do this. Now, on this particular vehicle and most other vehicles, the mass airflow sensor is located between the filter housing and the intake manifold. And so the filter housing would be the big box that you see that holds the air filter. And the intake manifold is on this side. There's generally a tube in between. On this application, the mass airflow sensor is actually connected to the filter housing, and the sensor being right here. And the first thing you're going to do is to disconnect the wiring harness from the sensor. From there, there's two screws that mount the sensor, located here and here. So we're going to remove the wiring harness first. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to disconnect the negative side of the battery as well. So we're going to disconnect the harness, and we're going to remove the two screws. Now be careful with these screws. When you get them out of there, go ahead and put them in a safe place, inside a jar or something, or set them aside where they won't get lost. And be careful not to drop one down into the engine well. You may not be able to retrieve it, and that will create a problem in itself. Now I've removed the screws and placed them in a safe place so they wouldn't get lost. Last thing you want to do is to lose a 10-cent screw and spend $10 riding around looking for a replacement. Okay, so once the screw is removed, you're going to just pull up on the sensor, alright, to pull it out of position. Now, a word of caution. These sensors are very delicate. They're probably one of the most delicate components that you'll find on a vehicle, and they tend to be rather expensive. This one is probably between $60 and $100 or so dollars. But some of the more expensive European cars can run into the hundreds of dollars. And if you drop it, it will break. And you can see that there's a wire component, which is the actual sensor, and it looks rather delicate. And this is the part that most likely is causing a problem. So you want to spray it with the cleaner, and there's a specific cleaner to use. Now, one of the most important aspects of cleaning your sensor is to use the proper cleaner. I highly recommend that you use the proper mass airflow sensor cleaner for this job. What you're going to do is you're going to spray the cleaner on the sensor itself thoroughly, about 15 or 20 times, as well as inside the housing to break up any debris that might be there, blocking the sensor from getting a good connection. So it's important to clean the sensor thoroughly. Next, you're going to put the sensor aside for 20 or 30 minutes to allow it to dry. This will give you an opportunity to inspect, clean, or replace your air filter, which is located in the housing. Now, my theory is that since the housing is located here and the intake on this side, with the tubing in between and the sensor mounting within the tubing, it's important to have clean airflow from the filter to the intake. And so a dirty filter would, in theory, contaminate the sensor. So that's why it's important to clean or replace the filter as well during this process. So go ahead and clean the filter or replace the filter while the sensor is drying. Okay, so the sensor has been replaced, the screws have been reattached, and now I'm going to reconnect the wiring harness. And so now we're ready to clear the code and see what happens. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and clear the code, and we're going to drive the vehicle for several cycles. It could take a number of miles before the check engine light reappears, if it were to do so. And if so, that would indicate that the sensor is no longer salvageable and we'll need to go ahead and replace it. This completes the process for cleaning or changing out the mass airflow sensor. I hope you enjoyed this and find it useful.